3, 2, 1, and we're rolling. What's up, bro?
What's up?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
We got YouTube viewers now. So
Yeah.
howdy, y'all.
Hey, we're trying this out. It's a little bit different than just the podcast.
Yeah. There was a lot more work that went into this whole setup and everything that we're doing now, trying to implement YouTube videos into the process as well. Than it was our first episode, but I think we're doing a good job so far.
Yeah, and this is podcast number 3, I guess, YouTube episode number 1.
Yep.
We're testing out our friend's mic today because we don't have a mic ourselves yet. We've been just using our laptop mic. So we wanted to give it a shot, and hopefully this will sound a little better for everyone listening.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them a little bit why we decided we were going to do YouTube as well?
Well, I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. For those that don't know Joe Rogan, I'm pretty sure he's the third.
He's number 3 on Apple Podcasts.
On Apple Podcasts right now, and then he has about 8 million subscribers, I think, on YouTube. And his podcast is just phenomenal. And what he does is he has people on. He has someone different on every week that he uploads. And but I watch Joe Rogan specifically on YouTube. I don't ever listen to the podcast. And so we got to talking about that and kind of looking at the way he did things, and we thought we'd be able to enhance, the amount of people that we have tuning in by doing that. So
yeah, because obviously some people like to listen to podcasts, but also some people don't like to just hear something. Yeah, they also like to see something. And that even sounds like in your case, that's what you like to do.
Right. Well, yeah. And it's so much fun to actually watch, the conversation taking place.
Yeah.
So, and some of the people he has on are just, he has some pretty extraordinary people on that show.
Yeah.
So hopefully, obviously we're small now, but
we could get to that point.
We want to get to the points where we can, start bringing people on and start making things more interesting. So yeah, hopefully we just keep going. But what we were talking about, how he started, and his first podcast, well, the one that he uploaded to YouTube, compared to the way even our setup right now, I'm pretty sure he was like, the video quality was terrible.
Well, and they were like this for the first few minutes, trying to figure out how to get everything uploaded.
All trying to figure everything out, and they had put all that in there. So it just goes to show, he's got 8 million subscribers now, and he's the number 3 on.
Yeah, you can start. So, you can basically start anywhere as long as you obviously constantly improve your game
and start there. Then we can do it. So
well, and that's the thing. We were talking about it earlier, where I think we already feel way more comfortable just talking.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
and once we can get to the points where we're bringing people on a regular basis, there isn't going to be an end to the possibilities that.
No, I don't think there could ever be a dull moment once we start, especially bringing people on. I think.
Well, that's the thing, and we've been recording these podcasts and making them about an hour. Joe gets on his show and he has these people on, and they sit there and they talk for 2 to 3 hours.
I think one was like 3 hours and 23 minutes.
There are some that are over 3 hours, and obviously not everybody wants to sit through over 3 hours, but that's a lot of content. I'd sit through an hour of that at least, and that's viewership, and that that makes it happen. So yeah.
So that's definitely our inspiration behind the whole YouTube thing. I wanted to talk a little bit about real estate because I found some stuff out from a book I'm reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which if you haven't read, or anyone listening or watching. I haven't read it, but you
told me a little bit about it, and it sounded like you've been getting a lot of pretty good knowledge from it.
I have. It's honestly probably the best book I've read.
Yeah.
I would say. And I've read quite a few books over the past 2 months.
Well, you've read like
I think 15 books in the last 2 months. I've just been going through books, but this book, honestly, I should have started with this book. I didn't, and I've known about it the whole time. And Think and Grow Rich is also a great book, but I'm honestly thinking Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
And that's the book that I started reading.
That is the book you started reading.
Which is a great book. I've taken some pretty solid notes that I've used so far to enhance the work that we're doing right now. But
yeah, so Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think it's honestly better, and it goes over a lot of things. So the author and person obviously. Talking about, it's him as a young boy, and he's growing up with his dad, which he considers poor dad.
Okay. And
then his rich dad is his best friend's dad. And the rich dad had actually dropped out of school at 13, which is crazy. There's no way I could do that. But this dude dropped out at 13. Well, he did because his parents passed away, and he had to take over the family business.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other dad
imagine that kind of situation falling into that 13 years old.
Yeah, I must have been terrible.
Does it go into detail about that?
I don't think so.
I mean, experiences like that.
At least not in the book. He might go into detail in other places, maybe on the internet or something. But yeah, it was terrible. And then his other dad, his real dad, I think he had a PhD and 2 masters. Super smart dude, super intelligent dude, and he wasn't actually poor. It was just every time he made more money, he obviously added on more bills. So he never had more income than he did bills. So that's why he called him poor dad, even though he wasn't really poor. Whereas his rich dad had his assets pay for all of his liabilities, which is huge. And that's what's actually considered wealth. So wealth isn't saying you have $1 million.
Like $1 billion or whatever.
Yeah. Wealth is if your assets can pay for your liability. So if you have a $200 car payment, per se, and you have, say, real estate cash flowing $200 every month, then you're technically wealthy because you don't have any bills to pay. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're at a 0 or if you're at a positive, obviously even more wealthy. And that's what you want to get to. You don't want to obviously off of your regular income be paying for all the stuff every month. Yeah. You just go into negatives. So
interesting. It is. The book really puts things into perspective for people.
Oh yeah.
Because that's not. Had you not explained this to me, if you told me to talk about what wealth is, that's definitely not the way that I would have explained it.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been the way I explained it either until reading this book. So it's honestly, it's a huge eye opener for me, and hopefully even for people listening and watching right now, because I had no clue. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And obviously I've been learning this stuff for a long time. I've never looked at it that way. I just thought, well, hey, money. You have money.
Yep.
Which is
you have a lot of money. That's it. That's all there is to it.
No, as long as you have your assets obviously positively cash flowing and they're covering all your bills.
Yeah.
No, you're doing good. You're wealthy.
Exactly.
Because then all your extra money you make, that's just money you get to keep. It's not money you have to give into anything else. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. And he also, actually, I was wanting to tell you, because I know we're working on our business, and this is something I recommended at the time when first starting, but we didn't get into it. Corporations is another thing that he goes over in this book. He doesn't go into it into detail, but he explains the gist of it basically. So I'll do that for everyone here. He talks about how, so a regular job, or even just regular people, not even just a regular job, regular people, for the most part, they pay, obviously they get their paycheck.
Yeah.
The government takes their money out of it. They take the taxes.
Right.
And then you get whatever's left over, which sucks. Yeah. Everyone hates it. I don't think there's one person. I don't think there's one person that could be like, I love that. So,
well, and it's funny. All the kids growing up in high school that would get their first jobs and be all hyped about the paycheck that they were going to get, and then they realize that taxes get taken out, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, and then so what's cool about corporations is it's flipped. So you get your income, and then you pay for all your bills and what you need to pay for, and then you get taxed on what's left over, which is obviously huge. It's a whole nother game. Huge. It's a whole nother game, and that's how the rich get richer. And it's something that people don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something, if you have a business, or say you have stocks, or say you have real estate,
right?
Anything that's an asset, you should definitely have a corporation, and it doesn't even cost you much to start. Especially, you could look up an S corp or look up a C corp on the internet, and you'll be able to fill one out in a few minutes, and it'll cost anywhere from $100 to maybe a few $100, depending on where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And to save that much money in taxes every year,
could
be huge.
Yeah, no, it makes that seem minimal.
Yeah, well, and it allows you to go back and put more into assets, and then, like, you get what I mean. So it just ends up becoming this full circle, and that's why these rich and wealthy people get to where they are, because they know stuff.
Both of these things you've learned from this book.
Both of these things I've learned from this book just alone.
And those two things, that's some important information.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Well, the author Robert Kiyosaki was talking about Kiyosaki. I believe that's how you say it.
It sounds right.
I think so.
Sounds fun to say too. Kiyosaki.
He's a huge investor into real estate and stocks. He likes to buy property, and he started out really cheap, and then he would wait till obviously prices would rise in that area. He would sell it, make an income, or make a pretty decent chunk of money off of that. And he would do what's called a 1031 exchange when doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And all that money that he just made from that property, normally you'd get taxed on. But the way this guy does it, it's called a 1031 exchange. And if you take that money and you go and put it into another property right after, it doesn't ever get taxed.
Really?
Which obviously allows you to put a lot more money into a lot bigger property. So your growth could be astronomical.
Right.
Within 5 years, say if you plan to buy the right
is not a lot of time.
No, if you plan to buy the right real estate and you sell it at a decent point, and then you take that extra money and then you buy another piece of real estate, and then that's obviously worth a lot more, and then you sell it again, you can just keep doing it, all with a 1031 exchange because you're never taxed on it. You're only taxed when you finally decide to sell off the last thing and take the actual just money for it. Make sense?
That does make sense.
Isn't that crazy?
That is super crazy.
Yeah.
Well, good thing you're reading that book because that's going to be huge for us.
Oh, yeah. So I definitely recommend anyone that's interested in obviously trying to build wealth, trying to just even create a better life for themselves, definitely read this book. Even if you're not trying to be rich, obviously not everyone wants to be necessarily rich.
Right. No, but it's just something just for that to have in the back of your head that can,
Well, yeah, it's that comfortability, Because life isn't always about being rich. It's just mostly about being happy. And everyone has their own different points where they want to be happy at. And if this type of thing could create happiness for you, I would definitely look into it.
Yeah.
And obviously that's our whole goal of our podcast is to help people out and give them information they might not know.
Right.
And this is information I didn't know. You know what I mean? And now I get to reciprocate it to everyone else listening and even to you because you haven't read the book yet.
No, that's huge for me too. Yeah, no, that is super awesome. One thing that I wanted to talk about with you was we were talking about the stock market a lot recently, and you were explaining a lot about what you were doing with the market right now, especially during this time, and I wanted to kind of dive a little bit into that and see what you were doing right now.
Yeah, so right now a lot of people don't recommend buying, and I think it's because a lot of people like to buy and then they like to sell really fast, and I don't think that's the way you should invest unless you're a really, really advanced trader. Like you have a lot of experience and
right. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing.
Well, and you have to when you're doing day trading per se, you're have to
putting all your energy and time into it, huh?
Yeah, you have to be reading all sorts of stuff about the one company before you even do it, because otherwise it's a gamble. You don't want to gamble. You want an investment.
Right.
They're completely two different things.
Yeah.
So if you just go in and you just buy a stock, you know nothing about it, that's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't know what you're going in and buying.
For sure, yeah.
But if you go in and you read about it, you learn about it, you see what they're doing, how their growth is, who's the CEO of the company, and how are they going to change the world? That's a big thing. If they're not going to change the world, I probably wouldn't invest in them either. That's a recommendation. So I would definitely look into that. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm actually buying quite a bit of stock because it's all so low. And I'm buying for the long term because we're 19 years old right now.
Yeah.
And I'm buying for the long term. So I'm putting in $100 or so about every week and just trying to build my portfolio. Obviously, I don't have a ton of money right now. But I think definitely in the long term, if I do $100 every single week, by the time I'm probably 30, even 40, and so on, it's going to grow all by itself.
Yeah.
Because I don't plan on taking any money out of it. The only reason why I'm going to sell stuff is to go rebuy more stuff.
Right. Well, and that's what you were telling me the other day was that, a lot of times people are scared to do that kind of thing because the market dips and they see the dips and they're, it freaks them out and they think they're losing money. And so they
sell off.
They sell off and
well, and that's what we've seen even in the last few
weeks
and few months. Yeah, it's a perfect example.
And you've kept your money there.
I've kept my money the entire time. Actually, I started one of my portfolios I have in stock trading is on Robinhood. And I just put $800 and I'm like, hey, let's see what I could do with this. And however much time. Well, I bought Tesla right at the beginning and I rode Tesla all the way up from the mid 500s up to the mid 900s.
My roommate Luke had done that too. And he was riding it high, man.
Yeah. I rode it almost to the top. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, as soon as it gets to like that 900 point, if it gets to it, I have to sell off.
Right.
Because I don't want to lose the money that I just made. And that's also, you have to know a stopping point for you. When you're entering. Otherwise, you might hold on too long, and then you're gonna watch it go up to 500, and then you're gonna watch it go back down to 500, and you never sold, and then you're like, shoot, where did I miss out?
Yeah.
So I sold off. I ended up having 1,200 in this account within a few days, which isn't normal. Like it was a day trade, And I wouldn't always recommend that. Like I said, I just have some experience. So that's what I chose to do.
Right.
I sold it off and then I bought a bunch of other different stocks, a lot of, they're called blue cap or high chip stocks.
Okay.
Worth a lot more. They're not so volatile. They just move very slowly over time. But if you look from the beginning of time when the stock market started to today, the S&P 500, the stock market in general, it only goes up. I mean, obviously they have the dip, so it'll go up and then it'll go down a little bit, and then it'll go up and then it'll go down a little bit, and then it'll go up. But over time, it goes up. The only reason why the stock market would ever not keep going up is if the whole entire economy, the U.S. economy, the world economy fails. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you are probably almost completely fine buying and just holding long term. And if you're someone that it scares you to look at your portfolio when things are going bad, don't look at it.
Yeah.
And I even did that for the first few days because I watched my account go from 1,200 all the way down to 600. And now it's back at 950. So obviously it's already coming back. So there really is no reason to sell off, because then you're cutting your losses.
And one thing we were talking about earlier, we were talking about these people that are worried about, losing money, and something you were telling me once you get back to work at Starbucks is you're just going to take a little bit of your money from each paycheck and just a tiny bit, so that you don't really feel as though you're risking much by doing it. Just setting a tiny bit of money aside to invest.
Yeah, no, and you could set any amount of money aside. You could put $10 a week in.
So, for people that might feel uncomfortable,
start with a small number.
Yeah,
start with a small number.
Start small, and that's what hold, and you'll start to see those numbers grow.
Yeah, over the course of probably months to years. Don't expect it overnight.
No, but if you're going, I'm just saying, if you're going to be invested in the stock market and make that a part of your life, then you can hold your money there and it'll grow.
Well, and even I started off putting in small amounts.
Right.
And the way I set up my paychecks from Starbucks, I save 40%. And then technically 40% goes to taxes, but that's already taken out. So I really don't need to worry about that. So I save 40% of what's left, and then the rest I use for spending. But I actually dump probably another 30% of that into the stock market. And that's because I want my portfolio to grow as fast as I can. Right now, I have obviously the opportunity to put a lot more into the stock. So I can actually probably grow a lot faster because of it. Because I'm putting in a decent chunk. Like if I put in $100 every week, that's $400 every week. In 400 times 12, that's $4,800 a year. So $4,800 a year I'm putting into the stock market. And that's all growing over time. And then you get dividends on that. And so you see what I mean? Like you start building.
No, you just see
income.
Everything coming together. Yep.
And that's where I'd recommend, if you start doing that, getting a corporation. If you start actually profiting off of this, don't do it if you're not profiting yet. If you start profiting, though, I would definitely recommend looking into a corporation. And a corporation, it's literally just files. It doesn't mean you own some big company like Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I think that's a common misconception.
That's a misconception for sure.
Yeah, it's just files. It's files. That's all it is. You could own a corporation and you could own just stocks. And there's no like 100 people working for you, 1,000 people working for you. It's just it's files.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to look into. And it's kind of it's crazy to think about, because a lot of people don't want to invest in the stock market because they are so afraid of losing money. And I mean, and I understand.
Yeah, no, it seems risky.
There is some risk.
Yeah. And
obviously you do want to risk some money if you want to obviously make some more money. And I understand where some people can't. But if you are in that space where you can, I definitely would recommend at least looking into some type of investment, even if it's not stocks, whether it's real estate, or maybe you turn your hobby into a business. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways to invest your money. Basically, if you can ever get to the point, you want your money to work for you, not you work for your money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That is huge. And that's how, ever since I've read that, back when I was probably 10 years old when I first read that. And ever since then, I've always tried to think of ways.
Why is it that all this stuff that you found out when you were like 10 or 13? And I'm figuring out everything right now.
I just like to surf the web. That's really what it is. I get bored and I just start searching. And instead of going down like a rabbit hole of YouTube videos about cats, I go down like a rabbit hole
about cats.
I go down a rabbit hole about investments and the stock market and real estate. And that's how I got so interested in real estate. It started with the stock market.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I like real estate a lot more because it's a lot safer. Even though you're dealing with more money, it's a lot safer. Because if you buy a house, the house isn't going to go anywhere. You're still going to have the money. Even if you don't maybe instantly make money off of it, over time, you're going to build equity on the home, and the home should go up in value.
Right.
So that's a big thing. And that's where I started getting into real estate, and that's why I'm getting my real estate license. And what's so cool is I went from starting to get my real estate license. I knew no one really that was like, well, I knew people that were real estate agents, but I didn't like know anyone that was doing like crazy amounts of deals like all the time. Mm-hmm. And I ended up finding this guy that worked at my Starbucks, and he does anywhere from, he does about 2 to 4 deals a month, if not sometimes more, which is a lot. Yeah. Most people don't even do one like every few months.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me.
Yeah. So this guy, he basically, he does that consistently. And that brokerage, there's another guy there, and he does one a week, no matter what. Okay. He closes a deal at least once a week, which is just, it's huge. Crazy. It's huge. So I got to talking with these guys, and they actually started mentoring me and helping me out. And I would go to their open houses.
Isn't that awesome?
It is. It's honestly, it's the best opportunity. I probably have one of the best opportunities
especially
I've ever had.
For you, considering how old you are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And how old are these guys?
This guy is 50, and then I actually have another mentor. Basically, and he's 60. These guys both kill it in the real estate.
So these guys have what, 30, 40 years on you?
Yeah. And they both helped me a ton. The other guy I actually met because I was looking on Zillow for open houses, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go to these open houses and ask agents and tell them, hey, I'm becoming a real estate agent. What do you recommend I do? And so I went to this one, and it was a $2.5 million home.
Sheesh.
Yeah. And I was terrified going in.
That is crazy.
Where
was this?
In La Quinta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I did not want to go into this home at all, because I was like, this dude's selling $2.5 million homes.
Oh, yeah. I'd be hella intimidated.
I was. And I'm so glad I did. And it's because of my girlfriend, actually, that Zoe, she pushed me inside the door basically and said, you need to go talk to this person. You drove yourself there. You obviously want to do it. You want that success.
That's
awesome. Go
awesome.
talk to the person. So I ended up talking to this guy. We spoke for about an hour. He gave me his business card and said I could talk to him whenever. Well, I kept being persistent with wanting to talk to him. And he ended up calling me, and now we're actually working together. And he's a broker, and I'm going to join his brokerage, and we're going to work together on everything. And it's the most amazing opportunity to be able to learn from this guy.
I love that.
He's been in the industry, I think, for 32 or 33 years now. So
that's so
tons
cool.
Of experience, tons of success, super smart guy. He's given me a ton of recommendations.
All you had to tell me was $2.5 million home, and it sounds good to me.
Yeah, no, it was just crazy. Like to see this house, this was easily one of the most beautiful houses I've ever seen.
I'm sure.
Obviously, yeah, I've never seen anything like that. So going into it, obviously, even just that added on to the nervousness of it. But he was super welcoming. He was super nice, and now I get to work with this guy and be mentored by him. And I feel like that these mentorships have obviously jumped me a few years into the game, because if it wasn't for them, I'd have to be learning it all on my own. And I could do that, obviously, but it takes a lot longer instead of learning from someone that has experience and has already been doing it for a long time.
Well, it really kickstarts you.
Yeah, no, it really, really kickstarts me. Yeah. So, it's crazy. It's crazy what you have to, basically, you have to take those opportunities if you want. The opportunity is now. It's not later.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Well, it might be small. You might not even see, the opportunity in front of you because of how small it might be.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those small opportunities that you have in front of you right now just set you up for the bigger ones in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it started with a small one, and then it just kept growing, and now it's like a snowball almost.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? It's totally started a snowball
down the hill.
And that was something I learned from the first set of mentors. Cool. They told me opportunities now. A lot of people are like, no, I'll start tomorrow. No, you won't. If you don't start today, like, you missed out on all of today's opportunity.
Yep.
You have opportunity to do something every single day. Your opportunity is not going to fall in your lap. You can't sit on a chair outside and hope that lightning strikes you and someone wants to sell a house with you. You know what I mean? You have to take it today. Otherwise, it's never really going to happen the way you plan on it happening. So,
yeah, and a lot of times people know that and realize that they have this opportunity to do something, and I think what a lot of people struggle with is the initiative that has to be taken on their part. Yeah. They think that
it's scary.
It is. No, it's sometimes, it's intimidating and you don't want to have to do the work to get there.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And it's not easy. Especially when I first started. I even talking to the guy at Starbucks, I've known this guy for over a year from working there.
Right.
And even talking to him, knowing him for over a year, I still was scared to say, and I knew he was a real estate agent, asking him for help. Obviously I knew that he was a real estate agent, and I was still scared after talking to this dude for over a year.
Yeah.
So it's not always the easiest thing. It's not easy getting started, but if you stick your neck out there and you really just keep being persistent with it, stuff's going to happen.
And at the end of the day, what I like to ask myself when it comes to things that I don't want to do or things that, I think that I'm going to struggle with, I just ask myself, what do you have to lose?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't have anything to lose.
No,
you have everything. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by chasing those opportunities.
Yeah, well, and especially at our age, and this is for anyone that wants to start something right now.
Yeah,
you have the time to start now. You get what I mean?
Right.
This is the best time to start.
Yeah. There isn't a better time to start.
Yeah. So don't be afraid and be like, oh, I'll do it later because I'm not old enough.
Because
people
are
going to think I'm too young. We're getting
started on what we're doing right now, and we have all years the time in the world in front of us. But getting started now is just going to save us so much time in the future that we wouldn't be able to get back otherwise. That we could spend doing other things.
Well, even like with being a real estate agent, a lot of people were like, well, don't you think you're too young to be doing this?
Nope.
I haven't had one person I've talked to so far about me becoming a real estate agent that is actually seriously interested in working with me.
About how old you were.
No one asked even how old I was because I knew what I was talking about.
I'm sure maybe I would get questions, but
you don't know. I mean, if you know what you're talking about.
No, that would never stop me though from chasing,
yeah,
my dreams and the opportunities that I have in front of me.
Yeah, no, you have to take everything that's available, especially at a young age.
Nothing to lose. Everything to gain.
Yeah, especially at a young age. Yeah. Don't be afraid to take those opportunities.
Well, that's the thing, and if you do get denied, try again, because like I said, I don't have anything going for me right this second if I'm not chasing that opportunity. So there's nothing there for me to worry about. Losing if I go for it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it is. And it's crazy. I didn't think I would be chasing opportunities like this, obviously, so early, but I think I'm also setting myself up now for so much more success at an age where most people are still just trying to figure out, like, do I go to college? Do I work at just a regular job? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I work at Starbucks? And Starbucks has actually been a huge thing for me, and it's helped me out so much. I think I've been able to network more there than I could anywhere else.
Every single day I'd get a call from you saying, I'd get out of class and you'd call and say, I talked to such and such and so, and you talk to 3 or 4 people a day, and
I talk to more than that when I'm working at Starbucks today. I talk to probably over 50 to 100 people.
Well, then you ended up getting on the topic of real estate with at least 3 or 4 people a day.
At least, yeah. And I ended up finding out, I found out just from Starbucks alone that 10 people either wanted to buy or sell a home with me as soon as I got my license.
That's huge.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do any marketing. I didn't have to spend any money. I just stuck myself out there and I talked to people. And I obviously didn't go up and say, hi, my name's Peyson, I want to sell real estate. You know what I mean? I got to know them, and I got to know what was going on in their life and see how their life is changing. That's a huge thing. If people's lives are always changing, find out how and why and see if you could help them in any way. You know what I mean? Especially if you're working in real estate or say if you have some type of sales job, definitely find out. Well, I think we should take a pause for just a moment, and we'll go ahead and jump right back in right after this.
Sounds good. So that whole mentorship thing seems to be really huge for why I think that you're going to be really successful in the future.
Well, yeah, and I think it's huge for anyone. So if whatever topic you may be interested in, whether it has to do anything with even what we talk about on this podcast,
right?
I think you should definitely find a mentor of some sort.
Well, yeah, and oftentimes they end mentors. That's the one thing we said that, opportunity doesn't always just fall into your lap. Sometimes you do end up meeting people that end up becoming your mentor. So that might be a way that you could say opportunity does fall into your lap in that sense. But you have to take advantage of it and roll with it. Like, for example, Alejandro Grant. I know you know who he is.
Yeah,
he went to Shadow Hills High School with us, and he was a junior when I was a freshman, and I started track. And when you saw him, you immediately knew that he was just that, leader type figure on the team. Yeah, and he was one of the best runners on the team. Super tall, super athletic. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be as good as he was.
Yeah,
and when I showed up and didn't know anyone and I didn't know how to run, I didn't know how to do anything right.
Yeah.
I looked at him and I was like, man, that dude is good. And I was intimidated, and it was scary just, knowing that I was going to be practicing with this guy and trying to, keep up.
Did you pass him? Did you pass him?
No.
Oh.
Not yet. But basically what ended up happening was we had what we called time trials.
Okay.
And so it was probably like the second or third week of track practice. And, I'm brand new to everything. And so it's essentially my first race is what it is. And so we're practicing our races at practice. And so we were split up. I was a distance runner, so I ran the mile and an 800-meter race, basically, which is 2 laps, so a half a mile.
Okay.
And so what happened was we were split up by basically varsity, intermediate, like beginners. Like we were split up into groups when we raced. And so obviously I wish, but I went to the beginners group at the beginning, and Alejandro, of course, was in the varsity group. And, I just watched him, haul, and he went off and probably beat everyone except for maybe Isaiah, because Isaiah is the best runner I've ever seen.
That's the guy letting us use the mic right now.
Yeah, thank you, Isaiah. But anyway, so Alejandro, of course, he looked good, and I'm just watching this guy run. I'm like, man, like the work that it's going to take to get as good as this guy is going to be like insane. And I really realized that once he had run his mile, then I ran mine. And of course, I didn't do nearly as good as him or any of the varsity guys. And then we ran the 800, and he, of course, already ran his with the varsity group. And he did his like little cool down lap on the grass or whatever. And then, I'm getting on the track, getting ready to start my 800. And all of a sudden, this dude hops on the track with us. And I was like, what are you doing? Didn't you just race? And he's all, you better stick with me. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that.
Did you know him before that at all? Or was that your first encounter
not
with
really.
him?
That was my first real interaction, I feel like, with him. We had obviously seen each other and talked, here and there, just because we had been at practice a few times with each other before. But that was the first time that he had really, approached me and wanted to help me, basically.
Okay.
And so we got on the track and we started. And I know for a fact that he was going super slow for me, but he made sure that I was on his tail the entire time. And he ran next to me, basically yelling in my ear to keep up. And, that day, I think, was the day that I realized, like, man, this guy is taking me under his wing, and he's someone that I want to be like one of these days. And so the next year we had our cross country season, and it was his senior year, my sophomore year, but still my first year ever doing cross country. So I'm brand new to it. Okay. And he's the captain. And again, just all the leadership qualities he had and the talent that he had, I just looked at him that season and was like, man, I want to be like that. And so long story short, my senior year rolls around, and I ended up becoming captain of the cross country team that year and of the track team. And I ended up beating his 2-mile time and his 5K time.
Wow.
And,
by like a few minutes?
Nope, that's not how it works.
Oh.
But just a few seconds. But, that was huge for me, considering that the first time I saw him, I thought that I wasn't even going to be able to amount to the talent that dude had. And so he actually texted me after listening to the first podcast and told me what a great job we thought we did with it and stuff. And that just spoke volumes to me and meant the world. Because
especially starting out with him already helping you out way in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now this guy's coming back and saying, hey, you're still doing a great job, basically.
So I appreciate that dude a lot. And And it just goes to show, you know, how huge having a mentor and a role model like that in your life is.
Absolutely. It can literally advance whatever you're doing by months, years, 5 years, 10 years, those types of people that have already been in your shoes, they've already gone through everything that you're going through, and they could basically help you skip through some parts almost because they have the experience.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, no, go this way. Don't go this way. I've tried this way. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like choosing that path, and they help you choose that path that's going to set you on success a lot faster than what maybe not having someone like that does. And that's what I hope with our wholesaling business. I hope I'm able to do that for you, Isaiah and Kobe.
Right. And I think so far that has been the case. Like, I feel like if it wasn't for, you know, the role that you've taken in my life right now, you know, and it helps obviously me being here with you, but you know, you're on me all the time about everything, and you're always, you know, did you read this? Did you watch this? You know, but that's what I need, and that's what people need is you know, that person in your life.
Make sure you're held accountable.
Keeps you accountable, exactly. And so hopefully that's a role that, you know, I'll be able to eventually take with this.
Oh yeah, and, I know you will.
Same thing that happened with track and cross country, and that was what I looked up to, and then people ended up looking up to me in that way too. And so hopefully, you know, I can emulate that with what we're doing now.
Even just to talk about what's happened so far, you started this now 3 weeks ago, I would say, with wholesaling.
Right.
And the fact that you guys are already hopping on these conversations with these people that live in Alabama, way far away.
My boy Doug yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are already having solid conversations with these people, and Kobe's already closed a deal.
Yeah.
Kobe already has a house that he's working on. And it didn't take long for him at all.
And in all honesty, we still don't know a whole lot.
No, but that's okay.
And you know, we're learning as we're going, and that I think Kobe, I'm pretty sure thought that he was, you know, probably not doing perfect on the phone call, and then
he still closed it.
And then he closed it and realized, like, man, I can do this, and you know.
And I think it's definitely has to do with how you guys are taking this very seriously, and you're really giving your all into it. And I think that obviously that's going to be the biggest factors. It's going to be solely based on you. I can only help you guys so much, but what's so awesome is you guys are so receptive to even what I tell you, and you guys listen, and I think that's helped you guys out even a ton. Where if you guys were trying this by yourself, obviously I was in your same shoes 10 months ago now.
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time starting it because I didn't have anyone to really look up to and ask questions. And so I hope that I get to now do that for you guys and speed up the process. And it honestly seems like it has, because it took me 9 months to do what Kobe did in a week.
And I think what's been big for me is I feel like I've had a lot more of an open mind as of recently. And that might have to do with the circumstances that we're in right now and all the craziness going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, my life has changed drastically in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people's have.
And so I think that I've realized that I kind of need to put things into perspective a little bit in the way that I do things. And that's why I've been willing to change so much of my habits and so much of the way that I structure myself in my day. And that's I think been super big in helping me with the success that we're having right now. Because, you know, a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have been waking up at 5 a.m. I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been okay with that. All the videos and the books and the articles that you want me to do, I would not be open to doing that, in all honesty. But I think that I'm realizing now that I know that I have more of an open mind than I did before, that it's really huge in helping.
Well, that's awesome, because that's growth already in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people
in a really short period of time too.
Even me, I think I was telling you, I used to have such a closed mind. I felt like I just knew everything, and I didn't. I was just a dumb teenager that acted like he knew everything.
And that should be the case for
most people.
Yeah,
at least most people. And that's where I was like, no, I need to start reading more. I need to start listening more. I need to do whatever I can to basically improve myself, because I know I'm not even close to 100% of my full potential.
Yeah.
And having that closed mind, it's not going to really get you anywhere in the long run. You may be able to do a little bit, but you're not going to be able to do everything that you want to do. And I'm glad that you already are feeling like you have a much more open mind. And obviously I'm watching you even have these conversations with people, and I'm loving it, because just like I tell you, when you make an offer on something, shut up after you make the offer, and just be quiet and let that person that you make the offer to really say what they have to think, because the first person that speaks loses.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and you were telling me that you were listening in on that phone call that I had the other day when I did that, and the cool thing about that is that it was totally subconscious. I didn't even think about it that way. You know, it had come naturally just because we've been, you know, talking about it so much and practicing. And so, you know, when you told me that you had heard that, I was like, really? Like, I wasn't even really paying attention.
Well, that's even like, I think we've already talked about it, but when I was talking to the person on the phone and I made the offer, and then I turned back and looked at you and went this. And yeah, I went shh, and then turned back around, and I ended up closing that deal right after that. And you were I remember you laughing.
I was cracking up. It reminded me of in the Wolf of Wall Street when, you know, Leo's on the phone
and telling everyone,
and he's telling everyone to be
quiet. He's like throwing his hand up at everyone, trying to get them to be quiet.
Man, it's hilarious.
It was, and that's honestly a great movie. I mean, obviously, it's what technically is that? I mean, it's a biography, like a nonfiction, but it's also fiction. Like I mean, it's a movie.
Yeah,
it's a movie, I guess, is the best way to say it. But yeah, no, I think our wholesaling so far, honestly, we've been killing it. And for anyone that's listening, I know we've gone over wholesaling. If you guys ever have any questions about it, you could obviously leave us any comments. You could talk to us on Instagram or any type of social media, even on our YouTube. Go ahead and comment below. Like, hey, if you guys need help with this, don't be afraid to reach out, because we'd like to help as many people as we can. And that's the goal. That's the whole goal of this podcast. We hope that we can help put people in maybe a direction that will make them happier.
Right. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, even if it's just, you know,
like if you want to sell the ultimate Pokemon cards and that's your goal in life, maybe we could help you do that. Right. You get what I mean? So don't be afraid to reach out to us, even if it has nothing to do with what we maybe directly talk about.
Cards.
I mean, hey, I used to love collecting those things.
Sure. Yeah. Those were the best.
You collected them too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they were awesome. We did it all.
Yeah. So if you guys ever need anything, don't be afraid to reach out. But I feel like what's crazy is that this wholesaling, I don't think I've talked about this, but this wholesaling is going to take us into so many different levels of what we're wanting to do.
There's really a lot that we can expand on with it.
Well, and wholesaling could take us into buying real estate and putting tenants in and then getting that cash flow, which will create that wealth that I talked about in the beginning. Exactly. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different routes that we could go after just wholesaling. And it's going to give us obviously some expertise on real estate, but it's going to allow so many different business opportunities. Even if, say, one of us wants to leave and have a singing career, definitely not me. Maybe you do. It's maybe you could use some of that money. You get what I mean? It's going to allow people to do more things.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's also just experience early on, you know, being able to, you know, build up these skills that we're building up right now.
Absolutely.
And we'll be able to use those in the future. And whatever we're doing, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, these skills are going to be valuable in the future no matter what, you know, you're pursuing.
Every person has to be every person's a salesman.
Yeah.
Whether they think so or not, you have to you're negotiating with your kid, trying to tell them, hey, no, you can't have this. Exactly. Or maybe you're in the kid's shoes.
It's a part of our everyday lives. Yeah,
you're selling stuff all the time.
Exactly.
And you just don't know it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even
you don't put it into perspective that way at all.
No. But really, if you look at it, like everything you do, there's some type of sales included in it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't realize it, and I didn't realize it before, but it's true. Like, I mean, I remember negotiating with my mom when I was younger to go, I wanted something, and I was so persistent, and she would end up cracking down and letting me get it. Sometimes she wouldn't. So then she was the one that ended up winning.
Yeah, think about it that way. If it's something that you want, you're going to do what you need to do to get it.
Yeah, and that's being a salesman.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's included in every aspect of life. I wanted to talk about in real estate right now. A lot of people, obviously, due to coronavirus or COVID-19, the correct the correct term. A lot of people are having to like forbear on their payments, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows what happens if you decide to do that. Obviously, I know most people have to. I would just say definitely look out for like the end result, because they don't have a specified what happens after right now. So they could end up making you pay everything all up at once, and hopefully that's not the case. Like, I hope there's obviously a lot of different ways they could take it. I'm hoping that they just kind of extend your term to the end. So if you had a 30-year mortgage loan, maybe now it's like 32, 33 years, and you just add on those payments.
Okay.
You get what I mean? I hope that's the case. And I just definitely, as a person, I would look into it before you decide to do anything. I mean, I know that's the case. You should obviously research what you're doing.
Advice for sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to give that advice just in case, because it's a scary time right now. And even I think that's why we wanted to start this podcast, was we hope to create that inspiration and the motivation.
Even just if you're listening to this to alleviate even a little bit of stress, I had somebody text me the other day and say that this was the most positive thing I have heard since we've been in quarantine. And I was like, that's huge for me.
That makes me so happy.
We could just be sitting here and talking about, how we were friends forever. And, basically anything that exudes positivity is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, we want to put a smile on your face. That's our goal. We want to put a smile on your face, and we want to help you out in any way we can.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely like what you said, that made me so happy. I remember when you telling me, like, that was huge. And that's obviously the goal of this. And we just want to be able to help as many people as we can.
100%. And yes.
We're obviously young, and I feel like I know, and I feel like you know quite a bit about a lot of different things that maybe some other people don't know yet. And I hope that we can help people of all ages, whether it be 13 years old all the way up to even 65 years old. Maybe there's something that they don't know.
Right. Well, my advice is just to continue to, educate yourself as much as you can. And that's what we're always trying to do. I mean, a lot of times we're sitting there doing nothing. We're on our phones. We're scrolling through Instagram. We're scrolling through Twitter. We're scrolling through.
And that's a time you could be learning something.
That's time that you could be spending, educating yourself. And so that's what I'm trying to do more and more each day. And, hopefully eventually it pays off, which I think it will.
I think it will too. And I think I've definitely cut down my social media time, like to allow myself.
Well, dude, it can be such a waste of time.
Oh, it can be. You could be doing it for hours, and even I used to do it,
and without even realizing it.
And say if you read a book an hour a day, or you listen to a book an hour a day,
right?
And there's so many good books to read, obviously. And I've read Think and Grow Rich. Now I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've read Sell It Like Strahan. I've read Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. I've read all these different books. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That book was incredible too.
Right.
So all these different books, and it's because I put my phone down and I either read or I listened to a book. And obviously you don't have to read it. You could listen if you want. You could do things. There's different ways to do it. So be open to trying out these new experiences that may end up teaching you something that you had no idea that you would ever know. You get what I mean? And maybe these books, if you're into you're in the business world, maybe this book advances you and makes you an extra few $100,000.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That
could totally be the case.
It totally is. And there's people that have spoken on, hey, this book, I read this book, say like Think and Grow Rich. They read the book and then they went out and they made an extra $50,000. Right.
They would apply that knowledge.
Yeah.
That's the issue, is a lot of times people, read these books or, retain all this information, but then they don't apply it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So definitely,
because there's work that goes into it for sure. There's work in order to apply that information.
Yeah, so definitely just try and apply. You're not going to remember everything about a book. There's no way.
Of course not.
So just try and take those key things that work for you, that you understand more than anything else in the book, and work on those things and try and build on those things. And you could probably end up doing some pretty great things with it. So I definitely would take a look into books. Even obviously there's so many YouTube videos now. And you could watch YouTube videos, like there's guys like Graham Stephan and Grant Cardone and all these big guys that teach you about personal finance.
How old is Graham Stephan? Because that dude is
28 years old
and he's balling.
He's making a ton of money, and it's because he's in real estate. He's in the stock market. He's doing all sorts of things. That man is a smart man, especially for being so young.
We want to model what we're doing after him.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But we also wanted to do a podcast because we have such a good chemistry between each other because we've known each other for so long.
Exactly.
And we want to help each other and also help people listening in the same way that he's able to help people. And I've always wanted to help people, and I feel like this is a way that I finally get to do it. So I'm awesome. Obviously excited even just to keep doing this further.
Well, I'm stoked for you that we're doing this, just in the sense that, I know that you've wanted to, do something to affect change in people's lives forever. Like, that's just the type of person you are. You're a game changer.
I try to be. I definitely try to be.
This is awesome for you. It's awesome for me. But I love it.
Yeah, well, even like I said, I know I told you in the past, I hope, like, even with the wholesaling business, or if I start something else, I hope someday I can hire a lot of people that I either know, or even just people that really do need jobs. I hope I can create a lot of jobs for people, and a lot of jobs, maybe they could go from making 20,000 to 100,000 or whatever it may be. I hope I could help people out with that, or even just maybe help advance their game. You get what I mean?
That's so awesome.
I love that. Obviously, I want to advance my game. I don't want to just be. I don't want to make $5,000 a year.
When you surround yourself with other people that you're trying to get better to, that's going to make you better.
Well, and you don't have to be the smartest guy.
No, of course not.
You just surround yourself with the smartest people. People that are smarter than you are going to make you better. You always want to put yourself around people that are better than even you, because that's the only way you're going to really truly advance. If you it's like what our parents always used to tell us: you act like who you hang out with.
Right.
You get what I mean? You're going to become who you're around all the time. So if you're surrounding yourself with these people that are lawyers, attorneys, big real estate investors, big like CEOs, obviously you can't just go and do that. You'll have to meet people over time.
Yeah.
But it's good to surround yourself with those types of people, because your growth that you'll be able to get from that is going to be crazy. There's nothing better than just being able to surround yourself with these people that are so much smarter and have so much more experience and years on you, because especially like in our circumstance, we're 19. We don't have the 30 years experience that they have. Obviously, I have 5-6 years in some of the stuff I'm doing, just knowledge wise, and some of it I've only been acting on it for about three to even now. You get what I mean? So it's definitely good to surround yourself with those types of people. And
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would definitely say just always try and surround yourself with better people. And we're actually going to end the podcast here for today. And we hope you guys enjoy, and we hope our new YouTube viewers are also going to enjoy it.
From YouTube. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate you guys.
And obviously, if you're interested in what we're talking about, and you have friends that are interested as well, go tell them about what we're doing, and maybe we could help them out too. So don't be shy to tell other people about what's going on, and you might be able to even help your friends out. You get what I mean, by sharing them this podcast and this YouTube channel. So I hope you guys all have a good one. And like always, we're going to be posting on Mondays for podcasts.
Sounds good. Yep. Tune in on Mondays.
All right. Peace. We'll have a good one. Peace out.